Hello there, Cancer, and welcome to your September forecast. I hope that this month is getting off to a stellar beginning for everybody. I don't always say this, but a reminder that you can use this for your sun, your rising, and your moon, and that goes for all of the videos. And I wanted to start off this video with saying thank you. I usually do this at the end, but I'm trying to bookend it just in case people don't make it all the way through. I want to say thanks for all the likes and subscribes. I've been doing this for a while, and I really appreciate how much the channel has grown and how much you guys have grown with the channel as well. I also want to take a moment to thank everybody that supported this. Everything that I do here is because of you, and it's viewer supported. So thank you for all the donations, likes, and subscribes. If you'd like to give back, there's a link below the video, the second link, and you can join me on Patreon for as little as $1. Every bit helps, and the more that I get as far as donations, the more videos that I can do. So I'll talk a little bit more at the end, but there's some information here at the bottom of the video, and hopefully that helps. Now let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about what's coming through for your sign this month. I like to begin each month by selecting a deck of cards and then meditating to see what kind of imagery, what kind of messages come through. As I was tuning into Cancer this month, what I received was a message, a few things. First of all, a visual, sort of like a color palette. And a general sort of information with that is to try to use everything at your disposal to explore, to have fun. The other thing that I sort of felt was like my taste buds activated. So what I got as I was doing my automatic writing was to really try to experience new things, taste everything in the buffet, or use all the colors in your palette. Don't limit yourself because either other people expect you to look, act, or be a certain way, or because you think that you can't do it. This is a month to stretch, to try new things, and have fun with it. So the most important part is that enjoyment factor, that you're really feeling creative, you're feeling expressive, and I think that if you do that, people are going to react well because you are feeling what you're doing, and that's the important thing. Now let's take a look at the cards. At this point, I like to remain quiet and just look and see what the spread of the cards looks like, but before I get into that, just a rundown on how this is organized. We just went through the channeled information. I'm going to do a Celtic cross next. Then I'll expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. So let's give the cards a nice shuffle, and we'll see what's coming through. In addition to all the cards in front of us, I also like to look at a catalyst card, which shows connections between these cards and also a way to either maximize or neutralize whatever the overall energy of the month is. And so you have this expansion card, which really speaks volumes to what we were talking about in the channeled information. Now, the card was reversed when it came through. So again, for some of you, there might be this feeling of hesitation, worry, or feeling like you need to limit your ability to expand. When we're looking at knowledge, skills, and recognition, sometimes this tendency to kind of contract or pull within yourself can come because you're afraid of outshining others, or because you feel like someone else, it's their turn. This month, the card is very much saying that that's their journey, this is your journey. Focus on your growth and let the cards sort of fall as they may, so to speak, in life. And if you've done all the work and something opens up, don't second guess that. Just know that the timing was right. Okay, so don't hold back, try new things, and pretty much underlining what we talked about in the channeled information, but it's not just about experience, it's also about expansion, and you should be trying to do things that you want to do that are either, again, it could be sort of like wanting to experience a new way of expressing yourself, a new skill, or just sort of delving deeper into knowledge. But whatever it is, it's really for personal development more than anything. As we look at your center card this month, the Seven of Wands, there's a reminder that you're doing a great job managing everything, but you probably have overcommitted. So take a look at your time allocation to all of the responsibilities and the people in your life and think, is there anywhere that you could either delegate, because this card can be about that, fight for assistance, because when I'm looking at your outcome card, it's really one that's saying, hey, I need some help, or I have an idea, or let's try something new. And this is going back to that sort of expansive thinking outside of the box. And so don't sort of just stick with the same old habit because it's worked. This is a month to experiment, to try new things, and especially if you're feeling overworked or burdened, not to keep sort of like managing all of this just because you can. This is a chance to push back, to ask for help, and to try not to let yourself get exhausted, because the flip side of this card, even though it's upright, there's still a little bit of a possibility you could go here, is for you getting either feeling very sensitive and then maybe snapping at someone, or getting a little defensive. So before that happens, be proactive and find ways to share the burden, to share the load, to get other people to be accountable for their end of the bargain as well. But you're doing a great job. Just don't overdo it, and realize that if you sometimes take on the weight of the world, you're not allowing other people to develop. It's actually cheating other people of the chance to get better at things that they might be weak at. So you're managing well, but I want you to focus on yourself and some other things rather than helping everybody else all the time. As we look at what's crossing that central card, very contemplative Four of Cups. This is really encouraging you to think of what's this all about? What's the big picture? Because sometimes we get mired down in details. We get sort of so caught up in the moment that we forget either the bigger purpose for why we're going through certain things in our life, or we're starting to realize that we want more. And when it comes to the latter, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are different points in your life where sometimes it's a job that you're doing. You just realize you've outgrown it. Sometimes it's a feeling that you're in a relationship and you don't know the person anymore, or they're not recognizing how you've evolved. Whatever's going on, honor that. Look at what you can do in your life to shift it. And as we look at the card that it's modifying, the Seven of Wands, it's time to release one or two things and focus on something else. Less is more. And when you think of some of the lesser wand cards, the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands, they're actually sometimes a lot more powerful than that Seven. The Seven is good if you have a battle to fight. So I will say this, if any of you are requiring some sort of a legal case where you have to fight for something, this shows me you have a good chance, but it's definitely a lot of work. So again, even in that situation, ask for help. As I'm looking at what's coming through, what's affecting you this month, relationships with your children, with younger people in your life, or even yourself kind of going back and connecting to someone from the past. This is something that might be important. Healing, cherishing those relationships. It's an upright card, so it's pretty good. Some of you may have found love in the recent half year, and this is your chance now to focus on that and to develop this a little bit more. If you're single and happy, this card, or retired and happy and not really focusing on relationships, this is a card that can remind you to get back to sort of the joy of childhood, which is discovery, exploration, and having this sort of lighthearted feeling. So embracing that child within, definitely something that's going to benefit you this month. In fact, your crowning card is the King of Cups. So your heart is sort of steering the ship this month. For some of you, this can mean a new relationship. It can also just mean more happiness this month, a feeling of mental stability. We see the Queen of Cups here in the recent past. So when I get both of these, for many of you, relationship issues are going to play a central theme and role this month. And what I see the biggest challenge in that area is going to be, for many of you, is money and time. So some of you just may have an imbalance. Your work and personal life may be sort of out of whack because you're putting way too much energy in one or the other. So this is a month to try to bring some semblance of balance to work and personal. The other thing, for some of you, you could be fighting over money. It could be with a best friend, it could be with a parent, it could be with a lover, but it's intimate because when I see two of the same suit, it's usually marriage or blood or intimate relationship. This sense of resource and resource management will be a pivotal part of all relationships this month. So also your self-confidence. I mention this a lot when I see money cards, and I'm especially trying to kind of drive that point home this month. So focus on feeling good about yourself and making sure that others are supporting you. And if there is criticism, that it's constructive and they're trying to assist. One of the challenges this month for you could be either maintaining an open mind or getting others to see your point of view. We have the Queen of Wands in reverse in the ego position, which shows a sort of rigidity with thought and a rigidity when it comes to open-mindedness. The other thing, this is the quintessential management card. And so I'm going to give a bit of constructive criticism this month, which is really manage your life first and foremost. And unless called upon by others, don't necessarily tell them how to manage theirs. If you have a friend and they're in trouble, or a family member and they're complaining to you, or however the conversation might start, you could ask how they want you to be there for them. You could say, do you just need some support? Do you just need someone to listen to? Would you like my advice? If they say, no, I just really want to talk, then you've sort of saved yourself the trouble of the Queen of Wands in reverse. You can just say, I'm here for you. Go ahead and let it out, and you can just listen. And then eventually they may ask, but wait for them to say, well, what do you think? And then you can still say, do you want my honest opinion? And then you can offer it. If they're just hedging around it, just say, I think that I'm here for you, and I want you to know that however it turns out, it's okay, but you might need to talk to someone else because I might not be objective or whatever. You can get yourself out of that. So be careful this month and only offer advice and support if it's asked for. When I'm looking at your environment, it does look like money is going to improve for you this month. There might be a new career opportunity on the horizon, or you might just be feeling more comfortable about what you want to do with your money and your time and your resources. I want to say that there is a general warning to not go to extremes. The King of Pentacles in a lot of decks sometimes is illustrated as having way too much abundance. Sometimes you see tons of things around him. Sometimes he's struggling with eating too much, whatever it is. Really balance out how much you're treating yourself and don't go to extremes. Creativity is on a high this month. It's something that I've been seeing in several signs, the same position of the High Priestess in opportunities, also in hopes and fears. When the High Priestess is in hopes and fears, sometimes we are afraid of what we are feeling about ourselves, about others. Sometimes we've seen a glimpse into what's possible. I would say for you, don't be afraid. See this month as a chance to embrace change and go for something new. We have a page card, which is delivery, which is something that's starting to develop. When I look at wands, this is ideas. This is the beginning of momentum. And we're looking now at the next 3 to 4 months of the year. So for some of you, this could be an announcement of something new, a new phase, a new project. For those of you that might have found love, it might also be the announcement of that and coming sort of public or forward with that. Overall, I like what I'm seeing here. Again, just to focus on money management and balance, and not going to extremes when it comes to how you're sort of dealing with things in your life. So again, don't self-medicate in any way too much. You really want to try to stay balanced when it comes to food, when it comes to engaging in parties and recreational type activities. I want you to have fun, but I want there to be a sense of balance and health and mindfulness as well. That's pretty much it for the general spread. Let's go ahead now and expand the forecast. We'll revisit this at the end as we have some extra context, and we can deepen the message then. So let's begin with your health card. Health includes mind, body, and spirit. Sometimes we're looking at mental health, sometimes we're looking at spiritual opportunities, and sometimes we're looking at physical things that need to be looked at. So your message this month is letting go of pressure here. We have the suppression card, and for me this is really speaking to the need to release things in your life and to pay attention to any sort of pressure that's built up. It could be blood pressure, it could be a tightness in your shoulder, your neck, or anywhere else in your body that you might be holding on to tension. If you look at this illustration, it's showing that feeling of everything just sort of weighing you down. This could also be about healthier living, since sometimes, quite literally, physically, we could be putting too much into our body, and then that sort of toxically weighs us down as well. So this is a month for cleaning, clearing, and releasing when it comes to your body. toxins, responsibility, pressure, and again, focusing on blood pressure. I'm looking at the way this looks, and there's to me, this almost looks like arteries or capillaries. So I really want you to pay attention to blood pressure, sodium intake, things like that, even any other areas in the body that might be holding pressure, like the eyes, glaucoma. So if there's any sort of family history for any of these things, it's a really good time to check and talk to a doctor. Let's look now at your wealth card. Wealth includes opportunities across all parts of your career and finances, but it can also involve just your relationship and your fears surrounding money. So let's see what's coming through for wealth. And we have the puzzle card. Now, as I look at the puzzle card, it's an interesting sort of thing to come through, because the truth of the matter is we're always thinking about the big picture, about what's next. And you could probably pull someone in any part of their life, but we'll look at like high school, midlife, and retirement, because I think those are nice bookends. If you look at high school, right before going to college, and a lot of you are just starting college right now, you have this, basically the world is your oyster. You have all of these opportunities in front of you, and it can be dizzying to kind of figure out what's appropriate for you. The channeled information, for those of you that are really young, really is important to embrace. Try new things. It's important for you to not commit before you've had a chance to sample everything in front of you, to paint with all the colors. And so once you've had a chance to try on different personas and different futures, then you'll be able to sort of think, this one fits. This is the one I want to go forward with. When you reach midlife, sometimes the person that you were as a high schooler or a young college student, it shifts. You've had a family, maybe you've found love, or you've lost love, or you've lost people in your life. Suddenly you think, what I thought was important wasn't. And what I once attached to no longer feels right. I feel like there might be some missing pieces in my life. So the big picture changes because things fall out. And so in midlife, it might be time to think again, to go back, to dream, to allow yourself to spread your wings. For those of you in the midlife, the message is to not let people talk you out of second shots at your dream, or trying something that might have a calculated risk, but your heart is saying, I have to do this. Now, as we look at those who are either retirement age or beyond, this is also an interesting time, because all of the things that were once important, many of you've accomplished. You've checked a lot of these items off your list. Sometimes you're not even in the same sort of situation that you were midlife or early life. So everything about you has sort of changed. You've almost had maybe one or two rebirths during the same life, and you find yourself at a new crossroad, which is, okay, now what do I do? Maybe you got married, or you had a relationship, lost a relationship, maybe you had kids, maybe you went through the whole career path. Whatever your truth was, your history was, now there's still a lot of time left, but you have to decide, okay, I guess I'm still exploring. And so going back to the Six of Cups and deciding, now what makes me happy? What makes me look forward to getting up in the morning? Because you're not going to necessarily, all of you, have a job that is the primary driver. There has to be other passions in your life. This is saying, clarify that. Once you know what you want, then you can start to accomplish it. But this month is a re-evaluation period for many of you, and a chance for you to do goal setting. And I think once you do that, then you can call it into fruition. And that's why in the environment, we see that you have the resources, you have the ability to make it happen. And then the next step for that is actual manifestation. And then maybe rallying some support for many of you. So I think it's an exciting time. It's interesting that we don't see a tower this month. It may actually happen next month, depending on what some of you decide to do. This is a very much self-empowered month. You can make or change whatever you'd like, but it's up to you. You have these options at your disposal. So a lot to take in there, but a similar message for different parts of your life, okay? And if you're feeling happy and solid in what it is that you're trying to accomplish, this card is simply reminding you to stay clear on the end goal, so that you don't sort of get off track, or that you're clear with people so that they're not kind of questioning, they're not puzzled by what you're trying to do. All right, we looked at health, we looked at wealth. Now let's take a look at love and relationships. As I look at love and relationships, for me, the main focus is what you feel internally, what your heart is saying, what your desire is saying, and also how you can kind of use the higher language of love in all relationships in your life. So we have a Ganesha card here, and with Ganesha, this is about the ability to overcome even difficult obstacles in your life. And so I think many of you are going to have that option to push through something, to transform something. And so maybe you've been in a relationship that doesn't feel like it's working, or you feel like you're at an impasse. This card reminds you that no matter what you decide, you're going to be better for the experience, but there's a chance for reconciliation. And some of you, that might mean forgiveness and possibly rekindling lost love. Even if it's in a present relationship, this just shows that you can go back to resetting and remembering why you originally were attracted to this person, whether it's a friend or a lover. Now let's take a look at your destiny card, which is very much a GPS. You can decide to continue on a path, or you can decide that the current trajectory isn't satisfactory. So as we take a look at this card, the message is to focus on what makes you happy. We have a pleasure card here. And for many of you, this also strikes me as love, romance, a sensuality sort of card. So if that's a missing component in your relationship this month, all of the cards that I'm seeing, the Queen of Cups, the King of Cups, and I would also say like the Page of Wands, this is showing me that there is an ability to really improve that feeling of being close, of being intimate with someone that you love. For the rest of you, this is more about having fun and enjoying life. Again, especially for those of you that might be retired, and now retirement age can be earlier if you've been lucky and made money or something like that. It doesn't matter what retirement age, whether it's 35 or 65 or 75, you might be facing this thing which is like, well, what do I do now? I kind of made my goals happen. Now what? It should be something that you derive a lot of joy and satisfaction from. And maybe it's something that makes other people happy too, and you can kind of have a win-win with that. Let's go ahead and review everything and see how this all comes into focus. As I said at the beginning, I saw this vision of a palette, like an artist palette, and a chance for you to kind of paint, or again, if you want to go more towards a food metaphor, to taste everything at the table, because if you don't, then you'll never know what's possible. Your catalyst card was that of expansion, and so trying new things. And if you've accomplished what you want, then that's a good thing. It doesn't mean that you're done. It means that there's something new. The other thing is you're being guided and pushed. If you notice, it looks like there's an angel in the background. And it's sort of like trying to whisper things or push you in the right direction. Listen to your intuition this month. It's not going to lead you astray. Let's go ahead now and look at all of the cards and their positions here. The central card, Seven of Wands, a reminder for you again to try not to take on more than you need to really balance out, in fact, your work and your personal life. And this is a month of balancing, consideration, dreaming, and grounding yourself in what's important. Again, relationships are a central theme this month. A lot of cups, which is good. And creativity is another thing that you can harness. And all that's really missing from this equation is knowing where to invest. Because I see resources, I see ability, but I see a lack of comfort or knowledge with where to sort of spread this time and energy. For some of you, this may not even come through into full fruition until the early part of next year. I'm seeing even April for some of you. And if that's the case, it's okay. I don't mind if you're making long-term plans. It's actually better because you'll have more time to kind of line up all of the resources for that. Stay open-minded this month. Try not to get in the way of others or yourself by being closed-minded. And if there are people in your life that need help, ask how they need your assistance, if they just need support or if they want advice. We covered the rest of the cards here. Let's again review the expanded forecast, focusing on easing stress, pressure, and tension in your life, and also trying to do the same for others. I didn't mention that the first time, but that's equally as important. We talked at great length about the importance of allowing yourself to dream and to reevaluate and to figure out what your purpose is. You're gonna have to do this, just like a snake sort of changes its skin. I would say every so often, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 10, depends on sort of how lofty your goals were. But there will be points in your life where you just decide, I'm a different person, I've changed. If I went back and talked to myself when I was 18, I wouldn't recognize that person. And he probably wouldn't recognize me either. And I think that's a good thing. We change radically in the same lifetime. And as we look at love, you have the ability to overcome challenges this month. And even if you need to push through things and you wind up in a place you didn't expect, you're going to be okay. Ganesh is there to kind of help you out. So I just want you to try to keep the sense of neutrality and being able to find what's best for both parties, wherever you kind of land with that. The important thing this month is, what do you feel from a passion level? And also in relationships, because that came right after love, to make sure that you're feeling that sense of creativity, spontaneity, and passion, and to try to infuse that in your relationships, if that makes sense. So that brings everything this month to a close. I hope that you got what you needed, and if you ever find yourself wanting to talk a little bit more about something that's going on, it could be a challenge that we talked about today, it could be something unique to you. I'm here for one-on-one appointments, and you can check below the video. The first link will allow you to look at my rates and availability. So if that's something you want, take a look. I'm here for you. I mentioned earlier about the importance of viewer support here. Everything that you see, all 12 videos, plus the special series that I do, they're only possible through the support of you and also through the donations here. So if you want to help and give back, all I ask is $1 for all 12 videos in a month. It makes a big difference, and if you found that something really resonated for you this month, you can do a one-time donation, or you can join me on Patreon. And the link was at the beginning again, but it's also the second one below the video. You'll notice that you can book an appointment, then you can donate. The third link is to stay in touch with me. And it shows all of my social media links on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my newsletter, and of course here on YouTube. And I would love for you to join me on any or all of those so that you know when new things come through here. Finally, like I said at the beginning, I like to start with gratitude. I like to end with gratitude too. This month, I'm really looking, time and again, I keep looking at the expansion card here. I think for you, it's important for you to continue to grow. And that's the message this month, is we never stop. Yes, at a certain age, we may stop sort of growing in height, but our spirit, our heart, our energy, our minds, they grow our entire lives. And I would say we change our skin, we change who we are multiple times during this lifetime. Pivotal events can come through and you find that you're at a different place, and that's okay, because the entire journey was about understanding who we are, what drives us. I forget, there was a British either astrophysicist or a cosmologist that was talking about what humanity was in the sort of the scope of God. And I liked the way they said it, and I wish I could attribute it, but it was sort of like God making sense of the universe. That's kind of what we are. That's what all life and all systems are. We're not the only life forms in this wonderful galaxy and universe. So just know that that's kind of the purpose of humanity, is looking for answers. So don't be afraid to change your mind at certain points, to change your path, or to decide that now something different is what you want to embrace. That's part of the human experience. So I wish you the best of luck. I thank you so much for spending some time with me and allowing me to take a look at what this month is bringing through for you. Wishing you much love, light, and support on your own personal path, whatever that may be. See you very soon. Thank you.